Okay, I think it worked.
Yay.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay. Let's go ahead. All right. Oh, it is recording already. Okay, we're good to go then. Awesome. So anyways, thank you guys so much for being here this morning with us. This is, I think, out of all of the things that we picked for topics, I honestly think this is the most important. It might be the one that causes you to have to be the most vulnerable, and it might seem kind of scary at the beginning. I know that I was, whenever I got started as a new coach, I kept thinking, I don't have a health and fitness story. Like, I don't have this story or this grand story, but everybody has some kind of a story that they can tell. And so we're going to talk a lot today about how to, like, first of all, like, what can you post about? What does that mean to tell your story? And then we're also going to be talking a little bit about how to breadcrumb that. So how to not tell your entire story every single time. And if you are, so I see Elizabeth, could you click on mute maybe? If not, I think I can mute you there. Okay, I've got everybody. There will definitely be some opportunity to chat and discuss, but this way you can make as much noise as you want to and still be listening for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I am going to definitely be asking Kat to give her input throughout the time because she is for sure a rock star storyteller with her health and fitness. So let me start sharing. And I apologize, I am still working on getting my voice back after being every single night with kids this week. Okay, so there we go. We can all see that, right? Little thumbs up. So I figured this could be a good little overview. First of all, I want to hit on why is it so important to breadcrumb your health and fitness story, and not just once a week, but often. You know, whenever we scroll through your newsfeed, we should see it through one scroll, or we should see it, you know, a couple of times during the week. Definitely all about that before and after breadcrumb throughout. We're going to talk about taking advantage of Transformation Tuesday. It's always a good reminder to do something on that day. And then also hit on photos. So what are the visuals that are going to go along with this? Okay, so first of all, starting with why. And I'd like for you guys to add to this list if you have some reasons that you wanted to add. But the first reason to share your health and fitness story is to just make that connection. Like, let's be real. We are health and fitness coaches, and we have to tell our health and fitness story. So making that connection with other people, we want other people to say, me too. That has happened to me, okay? Because that builds up that trust so much. If you evoke emotion out of your followers, they're much more likely to take action, okay? So they're going to be more likely to reach out to you. They're going to be more likely to trust you. And so anytime that you can get that emotion out of someone else, you are going to create them to take action, which who doesn't want that more often? Like, who doesn't want people coming to them more than you having to go to them? Okay, so you want people to be able to take that. It makes you the hero of your story, but it also makes you vulnerable and real. So I try not to share too much about when I'm in that low place, but more when I've come out of it and I become that hero of my own story. But you also, whenever you share that, before I used to think this or feel this, now I think or feel this, it really makes you see that you're kind of that hero, but also it creates that, like, you're a real person. Like, you go through struggles so they can, you know, connect with you, just like our first one. Okay, so it doesn't only have to include right before you started Beachbody and now that you are doing Beachbody. it can be a story of when you were 5 years old. It could be a story of whenever you were a teenager. It could be a story of, for me, I started Beachbody kind of after I went through my transformation. So a lot of the stories I tell are from my early 20s, but I kind of went through all that, figured some things out, and then started coaching. But I still will go back to that because I can still connect with women who have gone through that. So don't think, oh man, I have to think of like that month right before I started. That might be a big part of your transformation, but it might also be whenever you were 21 years old that you had a lot of your pieces of your story that you want to tell. Okay. All right, so here's the point where we're going to kind of stop and pause for a little bit. So forgot to tell you guys before, if you don't have something to write down, please have something to write down. So one thing that I've done that's helped a lot, and you guys can maybe see this, I have this kind of hanging up on my little bulletin board here. You can have it in a notebook, you can have it in your phone, whatever you use a lot to kind of come up with inspiration and ideas. And if you don't have that yet, you need to create that space. So I'm someone who's like always coming up with ideas. My most creative space is whenever I'm working out, whenever I'm walking, whenever I'm listening to personal development and cleaning. So I'm a creative person whenever I'm active. And a lot of you guys are probably creative while you're moving also. So make sure that you have a space where you can write down those ideas for post ideas. Okay, so I sat down one time and I just wrote down my story. And I just have like what I started from like early childhood all the way till recently of the different, like my before story of what I used to think, what I used to feel, what I used to, think about my body and all of that stuff. And we'll hit on that here in a little bit. But I just wrote them down. Like I have, kind of silly to share it like this, but I just wrote down keywords. So I put thighs/butt, why big. I remember thinking those things sitting in church as a little girl, sitting by all of my, little like chicken leg friends. And I remember looking down being like, why are my thighs so much bigger than everybody else's? That's a post idea. You have no idea how many people could relate to that. I have kidney stones, thyroid, losing weight during my separation. I have other things that are much more emotional also, and we're going to hit on that. But those are just a couple of things that I remember that I dealt with at a young age. So I'm going to go ahead and read through these questions. What I'd like for you to do is to write down whatever pops into your mind. So I want you to just jot down just quick little things. Like for the first one, have you experienced any ill health or disease? And, for me, it would be thyroid. I found out that I had Graves' disease. So I put thyroid/Graves' disease. Kidney stones. Anything that pops into your mind, I want you to just jot down a couple of ideas. Okay? And then I'm going to give you guys some work time and turn on the music because this is a main part of what we're doing is just brainstorming. We'll talk about how to put those into post later, but we're going to spend at least 5 minutes on these questions. Okay, so have you experienced any ill health or disease? Have you had, how have you struggled? Oh, you can tell I did this early in the morning. How have you struggled physically, emotionally, mentally? Your before and after is not just a physical before and after. It's a how have you changed emotionally? How have you changed mentally? What challenges or breakthroughs have you faced that you want to help others through? What did you used to feel like? So before you started your health journey, what were the feelings that you had about yourself, about the gym, about eating healthy, about what it meant to lose weight? What did you used to think or believe? Okay. So you could write down like a progression of what you faced with your health. And think about this, like nothing is too simple. I always go back to the biggest thing that I share from my past that women come to me connecting with and will add in their messages is I'm totally like you, how you used to want to take a nap every day. You guys, that is so simple. Like who doesn't want, to nap every single day some days? And that's a part of my story though, that I remember being so frustrated with and so mad and angry with myself. And it's so basic. So don't think it has to be this huge, crazy thing. It could be something so simple that you faced. Okay, Kat, what do you want to add to this?
One thing, because I know this is something that a lot of new coaches struggle with, especially. So some things, like I know not all of us have as many issues as Megan and I have had in the past. And sometimes it can be just like maybe your physical appearance, or like she said, and like I know like struggling as being like a plus size person whenever I started, just some of those feelings, like what I was feeling, because that's where you're going to emotionally connect to your followers. So maybe think about like how you felt before you started. So how you felt whenever, for me, like I remember I could not shop at any store because only certain stores carried plus size, and plus size, like honestly, has not very many cute options. So like it was so frustrating that I could not like wear cute clothes as a plus size girl, even though I was pretty confident and like I was okay, but like I still I was like, man, I'm stuck in these ugly clothes because I can't find anything. So those are things that I struggled with, or something as simple as I could not wrap a towel around me all the way. And that was frustrating. But now that I can share about that. So even if you're a brand new coach, write down experiences that you're feeling right now that you want to break through. Write them down now, because trust me, when the time comes that you overcome those obstacles and you have all these amazing successes, you'll forget where you came from. It's so crazy how quickly we forget. And so I urge you right now, take the time and write out your story as detailed as possible. You guys, I have my business story written down here. I have my other story written down somewhere, but like I have just my business story, like all the things that I have before and after. And I can just give you guys some ideas. Like I was $30,000 in credit card debt. I worked 40 hours a week plus 15 hours a week as a volunteer. I couldn't travel. I had no friends. I had a capped income, no purpose. Coworkers that made the same as me, even though I busted my butt, and it was really frustrating to me. I couldn't afford to furnish my house. I never went to college. I wasn't home. I was homeschooled. I dreamed of being able to have a desk job. I was a banker. I was sick all the time, and some of them are my health, but basically like just every single little aspect of your story, because one day, even if you haven't had a bunch of huge successes yet, you can, just everything that you can think of. And like one of the things too, like when I was at my heaviest, I remember I would have to try on tons of different outfits just so I could go somewhere because nothing fit me. And just having that feeling of, man, nothing fits, and it takes me an hour to get ready just because nothing fits me. Things like that, you guys, it can be so simple, but like that is going to speak to your followers more than anything. So that's my thoughts.
Awesome. Okay, so we are going to give a little bit of work time. So what I want you to do is, if you're stuck, go through these questions. But I know you can come up with those feelings, those experiences that you used to have, or that, like Kat said, you're dealing with right now. So I'm going to put a little timer on, put on a little more relaxing music than I had last time to get a little more serious.
And this is how I have mine written out, like before, after. And your after may not be very big yet, but you can always be adding to it.
And I mean, that's a great post idea. Once you can add to that after, put it out there. Put it out on a post. Okay. I'll put the questions back up, but I have to switch to my thing. I wish there was like a freeze screen on here or something.
Mine, the questions are still up.
I know, I haven't switched yet.
Oh.
We're going to get a little Jesus music in also, by the way.
With only 95 calories and 2.6 carbs.
After. These commercials are killing me. Killing our vibe.
You need to get Pandora and pay for the subscription. It's only $5.
Giving you my heart, all it is within. I lay it all down for the sake of you, my king. Giving you my dreams, laying down my rights, giving up my pride for the promise of new life. And I surrender all to you, all to you. And I surrender all to you, all to you. Singing you this song, waiting at the cross. All the world holds dear, count it all as loss for the sake of knowing you, for the glory of your name, to know the lasting joy, even sharing in your pain. I surrender all to you, all to you.
Okay, go ahead and start wrapping up your thoughts. Alrighty. All right. So one thing that in this training I'm in, they're really big about taking advantage of Transformation Tuesday, and I always have this like I'm just too cool for that type thing, and it is legit. You need to be taking advantage of Transformation Tuesday. We have a whole day dedicated to what we do. So there's definitely different ways that you can do a Transformation Tuesday. It doesn't have to just be, oh, here's how I was before a program, here's how I was after a program. And in our pictures, you'll be able to see some examples of different ideas for that. But these transformations can be physical. Obviously, you can do a before and after of a program. I highly recommend doing before and afters with programs, or even before and 2 weeks into a program. Like, share these before and afters and transformation pictures as much as possible. But transformations can also be mental. So you can have a picture, but talk about how you changed mentally. Did you get over a fear? Did you get over this, fear of being, whatever you were thinking before.
Hold on, you're sounding like a robot for some reason.
But
You sound like a robot.
I sound like a robot.
It's like, does everybody else hear that?
Oh, I wonder if it's my internet is being funky. Is it still doing it?
Okay, it just stopped.
Okay. I'll be fast so that you can add too. It could be your financial transformation. So if you've had some luck, or not luck, if you've seen some success with the business, you can definitely share that. And it could be so small. Like, it does not have to be, I paid off $10,000 in debt. Like, the little things when you're just starting out as a new coach, I'm kicking myself in the rear that I did not talk about this opportunity when I was first coaching, because I think it would be even more relatable of, oh, she paid for her groceries this month. That's so much more realistic of when a new coach is starting than anything. Okay. An app that I like is PhotoGrid. I don't know if other people, what other people use for like the physical before and after, but I like that for those. Okay. Last thing is talking about photos. So let me think of how I want to say this. Whenever you're choosing a picture, just keep it as simple as possible. I feel like and especially because I was trying to look for old photos to share with my team yesterday, because we were critiquing each other's challenge group promotions, which you guys did a phenomenal job with. But sometimes we just get like so crazy in colors and photos and our background, and everything is kind of like all over the place. Like, look at all of these pictures. They are so simple. They're so clear. You can see exactly what their intent is with every single photo. Okay. So a couple of things, like I noticed all I did was I went to 3 pages and I scrolled, and these were seriously in the first 2 scrolls. And that's exactly what you want. You want people to visually be able to see, I am changing my life. You should join me, change your life also. Okay, so I noticed Kat had a transformation of her face. I don't exactly remember what it was. She has in the lower left-hand corner, it's very visual. I know a lot of people are kind of leery about no shirt on before and afters. You can see it. It's right there. She has fully clothed, and you can see it before and after, fully clothed. So it doesn't have to be, I'm in my sports bra. I live in my sports bra, so all of my photos are in my sports bra. And I have to be okay with that. In my picture in the lower right-hand corner, I was talking about how I used to mentally think that I didn't want to lift weights because I was going to get all beefed up. So I'm showing off like, hey, I'm a very lean person and I lift weights every single day. Nikki's picture down here, her face before and after is phenomenal. And I love that she shared about this picture was whenever she was at a bachelorette party and she talked about her feelings of going to that bachelorette party and how uncomfortable she felt at it, and then obviously she's looking super awesome and sassy in her after picture. So she's like, I would love to have felt that way. And then I think hers was talking about these shorts that she was wearing and now her shorts that she got to wear now. This one that I was talking was more of a inner transformation. So I was talking about how I used to worry so much about what people would think and how that has changed now because of coaching. So, your transformation is not always physical, and that's totally okay. I've had plenty of success talking about my inner transformation more than I have my outer transformation. Okay. Any other thoughts or things you guys want to add with photos?
Always make sure if you use any kind of app, I personally use PhotoGrid myself because it's thebomb.com. Make sure that you take the watermark off. I just think that looks so,
I just found out you could do that because I was on.
well, it almost looks like you're doing an advertisement for them or something. And so just make sure on PhotoGrid, you basically just tap the little the watermark and click the X. I don't know if you have to pay. Do you have to pay on PhotoGrid? I think you used to have to pay to take the watermark off, and it was like $1.99. Totally worth it. Make sure, I see so many times when people are doing before and after pictures that they make their before picture smaller than their after picture. They don't line them up properly, or okay, so you see how in my before, in all of these before and after pictures, how the face is symmetrically lined up. I always line up my face to my after picture because your face will never change. Your chin to your forehead will never change size. So I always try and line that up as much as possible because I want to show my true transformation. So many people go by the size of their body, and because it's a visual effect or whatever you call that, to where it looks what the same, but you always want to make sure and line up your face because it does not change, or even your arm to your fingertips. I know sometimes it's at the different angles, and so it's harder, but always try and make your after picture appear visually smaller than your before picture. Again, I see that so often. I am trying to do more pictures where it's hey, this is the exact same angle and everything, just like in this picture. So that's very important. And again, always make sure your pictures are bright and colorful, as we talked about Tuesday, but yeah.
Will you hit again? I know this came up in one of my success pods. They were talking about the Instagram. Will you show them again or tell them again how to do that on Instagram?
Okay, so the only editor I use for my pictures, other than Perfect 365, Airbrush, and PhotoGrid, is Instagram. That's how I make my pictures pop and look more professional, just bright and alluring. Okay, so you go to Instagram, you upload the photo, and instead of clicking filter, you click edit. And so then you edit the brightness, the contrast, just to brighten it up a little bit and bring that contrast back up so it doesn't the darkness, whatever. I also sometimes mess with the vinaigrette and vignette. I don't know what that is. Okay, shadows and highlights too. So, but mess around with it. You'll get because everyone has their own look. You just want to make sure it's bright and it pops. I know the Fitzpatricks, they do an amazing job at making their brand, their pictures are their brand. You look at them and you're oh, that's the Fitzpatricks. Just even if they're not even the picture, it's them because they have such a unique look to what they have. And they use, I think what they use is structure to make their photos that interesting pop. If you guys know what I'm talking about, If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to one of their pages and they, could you show a before and after edit pic? What do you mean? Like before I edit it? Like my face? Like usually I only edit my face, like smooth out my skin a little bit. If sometimes my pictures, I don't know why, sometimes my teeth are like blinding white and sometimes I have yellow teeth. So every once in a while I'll have to whiten my teeth. That's really all I really do. I mean, it's not really, if you use the app Perfect 365 or Airbrush, I mean, it basically is just like little touches, little touch-ups. It's not anything major. You need to be careful. I see so many times where people use like Perfect 365 or Airbrush or any of those apps to kind of touch up their face a little bit. Like maybe you have like a zit and you want to cover it up, or you don't have makeup on, so you want to just kind of make your face look like you have a little makeup on. I see so many people that overdo it. You need to be careful. Be careful. Ask a friend if you're like, man, does this look like too much? Because I've seen it way too often. So make sure on that. But again, Instagram. So I just edit the pic, and once you post it to Instagram, it saves to your photos. And then after I post on Instagram, I just go over to Facebook and I post that exact same picture on Facebook. And that saves me so much time, because before I was using these apps trying to get the perfect lighting, the perfect everything. And it was like, okay, gotta go here and then save this and then go here and then add some more to it and go here. And so it was like taking up so much time, whereas I could just do it to Instagram, boom, it's done. So.
Okay, anybody have any questions then? We'll go ahead and open up if you have questions about story. I would suggest definitely telling your story at least 2 times a week, minimum. I think it's something that I know I need to get better at, and I have to consciously think about it. It's not something that pops into my mind of, oh, how did I used to think about this? Or how did I used to feel about this? But if you need inspiration, Kat is awesome. Nikki is phenomenal at doing it. So the girls that I put on these images, there's a reason why I went to their page, because in my mind, when I was thinking of our team and who shares their story well, they popped in my head really well or quickly. So,
and something just came and left my mind. Oh, okay, so I heard this, I can't remember who told me this, but Raina Adele, she tries to share a before and after picture. Now that she's really, really sick, she hasn't done it as much, but every third line on Instagram. So every 3 days, she is sharing a before. For me, that would be every 3 days, because I post 3 times a day, pretty much solid every single day. So every 3 days, I'm sharing a before and after picture, because when someone comes to my Instagram, and that's like what Meg said, she said instantly in one scroll, I saw her before and after pictures. So you want to share them as much as possible. I do every 3 days, basically, because that's, when someone comes to your page, they instantly know. They don't have to scroll for 3 days to find, or scroll and trying to figure out what you're doing. There was a girl that messaged me yesterday on my page, and she asked about my challenge group, and I said, no. I said, yeah. And I told her about the Shakeology, and she's like, oh, I already have all that. And so I was like, okay. So I went to her page and I was like looking at it, and I couldn't really tell, but I think that she was a coach, but I'm not really sure. And so I'm after looking at her page for probably 5 minutes, I think that she is. But anyway, so just make sure you're sharing your story enough to where people know what you're doing. So it's very important. Also, I was going to touch on the fact that the reason why we share our before and where we came from is because our lives are so freaking awesome now. Like, awesome. And if you're like all the time just going on about how freaking amazing your life is, people are gonna be like, this lady is like a narcissist. All she can talk about is how freaking awesome she is. And if you do that all the time, you're going to turn people off. But if you can share where you've come from, you can relate to people, and they're going to relate to your story, and you're going to show them that you can come out of darkness and be light and have this an exciting life. But you have to show them where you came from to make them believe and relate and feel like they can overcome too. And what we call it is the dip. I don't know if you've ever heard this term before, but like this is where your life sucks really bad. And this is where Beachbody comes into play, and your life is completely awesome. So you don't want to be posting all the time in the dip. You guys, I went through a year of suck. Like I call it the year from hell, because it was horrible. But I wasn't always posting about where I was in the moment. I tried to be inspirational and exciting and talking about where I was going to be, or just anything motivational, until I overcame that dip. Now that I'm over that dip and I'm back to here and my life is awesome and I feel good again, I talk about where I came from and how the year from hell has affected me. So make sure when you're sharing though that you're only doing 80-20. 80% of, because you don't want to share all the time about how horrible your life was either. So you want to keep, I always try to keep an 80-20 rule. I share 80% about how awesome my life is now, and 20% of where I came from and how horrible my life used to be. So if you can always keep that 80-20 rule in effect, it really, really does help, and doesn't make you seem like you're just this freaking awesome person, but you also have a background, you have a story of where you came from.
Love it. Is it soaking in? We're getting there. All right, so if anybody doesn't have any other questions, I'm trying to look at you guys. Oh man, we've got lots of people on this call. Thank you guys so much for waking up early with us, or, spending some time with us this morning. All right, so homework for the week, because I had lots of people sharing their, I think even some people that maybe haven't put out challenge group posts yet started, because we held them to it. So your homework, first of all, we will meet next Tuesday. I don't exactly remember what our topic is for next Tuesday, but let me look it up real quick. Meaningful conversations and follow-ups. My favorite topic, because I saw my business go from no, 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 no all the time to yes, 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 no. I still get no's. But whenever I figured out how to have conversations with people, it changed drastically. Okay, so your homework is to create a post about your story if you haven't yet, and bonus points if you do it in a live video. Okay, so what I'd like for you to do is to share that to the team page whenever you share a story. Remember, it can be a physical, whatever it is, and then share it. If you are nervous about sharing a piece of your story, I want you to share it in the groups first to get a little feedback. I want this to be something that maybe you haven't shared before. So I want you to your homework is to share a piece of your story, your health and fitness journey, to your page or to your Facebook or to your Instagram, wherever you're doing it on your social media, that you haven't shared before, and it makes you a little bit nervous. Okay? So,
Or your business story too.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll be talking about that, sharing your story later on. But I like that idea too, because we definitely need to get in the groove of sharing that a little bit more on our team. Okay, questions? All righty, I will chat with y'all later. Definitely ask any questions on the team page that you have, or message us directly. So, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.